Hello, WordPress people. So today I'd like to show you a little technique I used on a recent project, actually a redesign of our own website that I'm working on at the minute. And this technique allows you to create like custom heading styles that actually have like a counter as part of them. So we can see here it counts up 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And this is using block styles and the CSS counter properties. So let's jump straight into it. So this is the kind of result we're going for in the end. Let me just get rid of myself a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump over to my code. Just going to save this, and hopefully that will update this back to normal. Okay. So the first thing I want to do really is to set up a style. Let me just refresh this page as well, so we don't see the style there. There we go. So what do I mean by block styles to start with? Well, what I mean is whenever I click on this heading block over on the right-hand side under styles, we've got default or we've got eyebrow. So eyebrow is just a style that I've added to the site. We've got this default style as well. So what I want to do is to create a new style. And first what I'm going to do is keep it really simple. I'm just going to call this style section title. So let's just quickly have a look at how we create a style. So I'm going to go into a file in my theme called editor.js. And here is where I'm creating, I'm kind of doing various things with Gutenberg blocks, but the main thing I do in this file is to register new block styles. So in this function, let me just scroll up to the top so you can see the whole thing. Can I collapse that? Maybe not. So start the function here, and then within that we've got wp.blocks.registerBlockStyle, and this is for the core heading block, and it sets up the default here. And then my first custom style is here, is that eyebrow one I was showing you. And then the next thing I want to do is just create one called section title. So I'm just going to drop that in. And what this actually does, all that block styles do is add a CSS class to the block. So in this case, the CSS class will be is-style-section-title. So it takes the name. I don't know why we didn't call that slug or something, but anyway, it takes the name of the style there for the CSS class. So I'm just going to save that. I'm going to jump back into the editor. I didn't really make a change, so I'm just going to reload this, scroll down a little bit, back to my heading. And here on the right-hand side now, you can see I've got a third style called section title, and I'll just click that. And I'll click update. Back to the front, just refresh this page. And hopefully, so style section title. Is style section title. This has a previous style from when I was doing this before. So let me just remove that so it's not going to interfere with what we're doing now. So we've got the is style section title from the block style. Let me just double check that. Is style section title. There we go. So that's all in place. We could also add that here. This just has all these previous styles from my testing, but I'll just add it here as well. So these two, so project team here is style section title. Okay, so these two have the new class applied for the block style, and now we need to add some styles to that class. So I'm going to go into my project-heading.scss, and I'm going to say style section title. Let's just test that this works. No. Let's try font size declaration. If that doesn't work, we'll look at why. That's not work because font size doesn't mean anything. Yep. And we can see if I inspect this, is style section title font size equals font size large. Perfect. So now we need to start building up a section title style. So the first thing I'm going to do for my section title, and this is before we get into all the count stuff, is to add a / before. So I'm going to use a pseudo element at and before, and it's here for anyone that is not familiar with the syntax. And I'm going to say content. I'm going to write a / in here. Let's just save that, see what happens. Nice, we've got a little /. Perfect. And I want that / to be a different color. So I'm using a CSS variable. I think, what is it? How do I define the color? I think it's just color. And then brand one, there it is. Yep, so that's now changed color. Lovely job. And that's all good. So what I'm going to do now is just absolutely position that off to the side. So to do that, I need to give my heading. I always do position at the top or near the top. Not always, but quite often. I'm going to make this, force them to be bold. And I'm going to absolutely position this. Absolute. I'm just going to say top 0. I want it to be over to the right. So I'm going to say right 100%. I know this isn't going to be correct at the moment, but let's just see where that gets us. Okay. So if we inspect this, we can inspect our before. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm going to want to bump that out of the way and make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to say font size down here, and for right, I'm going to say calc 100% plus. I've got some spacing bars set up, so I think it was this that I needed to use. Nice. Okay. So what I not like about that, it's not quite lined up. So we want to change the top. And I know from experience that that is minus. Pretty sure that's correct. Definitely is not. Minus. And that is still not right. Minus 0.12. There we go. Line that up nicely with the top of the text there. So that's pretty good. Am I happy with that at the minute? I think I am. So that is my kind of section title style. I quite like that. But now we want to get a little bit fancy and add like this counter style as well, which is going to be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into editor.js here. I'm going to create a new style called section title count. This is, I'm actually just going to call it count. You'll see why in a minute. I'm going to go back into the editor and give that a refresh. And I'm just going to go down to these. You can see that's styling those nice and out. Okay, so I didn't call it section title count because it would just be section title dot 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 section title dot 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 section. So I'm just going to call that one count. I'm going to change that one to count as well. So we want the count ones to be fairly similar. You can see those styles have disappeared, which is fine. So I think I'm going to share most of the styles. So what I'm going to do is section title count. Let's see what that does. Okay, perfect. But then we're going to want to change a few key things. So I'm going to add a new set of rules under here just for my count style. And we're going to use counter, CSS counter, and specifically here, CSS counter increment. And this is super cool. So this where it says section counter is our kind of custom counter. So we can name this anything, and then we refer back to it when we want to grab the current count of whatever it is. And there's lots of cool ways you could use this. I won't get into them all. But how we're going to use it is we're going to actually add the count number to our pseudo element content. So, and we're going to do that by doing this. So we've got our before pseudo element here, and we've given it a content of /. But if it's a section title count, we're saying the content is /, and then it's this. So we're going to output the counter. We're referencing our section counter here, and we're telling it which type. So you can use like Roman numerals and all sorts for your counts. It's a bit like, in fact, it's probably the same kind of underlying API as ordered lists. So think about all the different ways you can display numbers in an ordered list, and it's kind of similar. So I'm going to say decimal leading 0. I'm just going to save this. Aha! So that is pretty cool. So now, even though those are exactly the same style, it started to count. Every time that style is used, it's going to count up and count up and count up. So let's just refresh our editor. Look, we're getting it in the editor. Lovely. Look at that. And those are all there already. So you can see they're all set to count. If I set that to section title, change it to eyebrow. So you've got all these different styles. The beauty of using styles as well, rather than applying something directly to, for example, a heading level, is that it's the semantics of the page and the styling of the page are independent. So for example, in this case, we're using H3s because it sits within this section, what should be included in a website specification. So we want to use H3s here to keep the document structure correct. But we also want to use this particular style. And on a different page, you might want to use this count style on an H2. So using styles like this rather than tying it to a heading level makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this is cool. But what if there's more than one kind of section of a site where you want to use these counters? Currently, we couldn't do that because it all references the same section counter increment here. So what we can do is actually create one more style, and I'm going to call this one. It's going to be very similar. Count reset. And let's actually create that style in here. I'm just going to copy and paste that this time. Reset, and let's just call that reset just for the sake of being able to see what's going on. Okay, and if I jump into the editor, just refresh that because otherwise the reset style won't be there. Okay, so let's pretend we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then this is the start of a new kind of section. So I'm going to call this one reset. Nothing's going to happen yet. Let's refresh this page. Again, nothing's going to happen yet. So this is just taking the styles from the section title here because it's all the same. So we're going to have to do something a little bit different. And this is actually super easy. So let me just grab that class name. And I'm just going to stick it in here. What we're going to do is we are going to say counter dash reset section counter, because that's the one we want to, that's the counter we want to reset. Let's jump back into some here. I know what I've done. So I'm setting the reset, but I actually haven't added the counter increment or this section to the reset class. So what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, and then it starts again on 1, 2, etc., etc. So we've got our heading counter on the site using block styles and using CSS counters. I think that's really cool. Hopefully you do too, and you'll enjoy playing about with that. Stick around for the next video. I hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.